Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill from Susan's in the Garden. You know, I live in eastern Washington state where we have very cold winters. Lots of snow, lots of bitterly cold temperatures. So as you can imagine, it's pretty hard to grow veggies here year round. But this winter I'm trying something new and I am so excited about it. I'm going to grow microgreens. Now maybe you've heard that term before and you didn't know what it meant, or you have never heard the term microgreens before. I wanted to take a moment to explain what they are. Essentially what you're doing is you're very thickly planting a bunch of seeds in a flat that contains potting soil, and you're letting the plants sprout, and once they have their true leaves, you're harvesting them to serve in a salad or maybe as an accompaniment to a meal. The great thing about microgreens is that studies have shown that they are about the most nutritious food you could eat, which I think sounds great. Now, I didn't want you to confuse microgreens with sprouts. Of course, sprouts are seeds that have been sprouted in water, and because of that high moisture environment, sometimes there can be problems with bacteria growing in the water, and that is not healthy at all. So that's why I'm really interested in growing microgreens. So let's go through the steps that it takes to grow them.
First, lightly moisten some germination mix, also known as seed starting mix, or you can use organic potting soil. A friend of mine uses a mix of his organic compost and coconut coir. Whatever you use, make sure it isn't sopping wet, but rather the moisture you would expect to feel in a wrung-out sponge. Use seed starting flats or containers with drainage holes in them. Proper drainage is the key to success with microgreens. I'm using two 12-inch square flats and have placed them in a tray so they won't leak onto anything. Fill your containers with about 2 inches of the seed starting mix you've chosen. Pat down the soil a bit to create a firm seed bed. Seeds should be untreated and preferably organic. Some of the best seeds to use include sunflowers, lettuces, peas, radishes, broccoli, mizuna, basil, beets, celery, cress, and kale. I will have additional seed information on my blog at susansinthegarden.com. Now you get to thickly plant whatever types of seeds you've selected. If you're a vegetable gardener like I am, this part will feel just plain wrong because we're all used to properly spacing our seeds, aren't we? But since you're just going to be harvesting the young seedlings, they should be planted intensively. I planted sunflower seeds and romaine lettuce seeds. One thing I wanted to mention about sunflower seedlings is that you'll want to harvest them before they develop their true leaves. So cut them off when they just have their seed leaves on them. That's because the true leaves are hairy and bitter, but I've heard the seed leaves are absolutely yummy. Be sure to press the seeds into the surface of the soil mix with the palm of your hand. Cover the seeds with a thin layer of the soil mix and press it down so it makes good contact with the seeds. Now cover your flat with a plastic dome to increase humidity, which will make it easier for the seeds to germinate. Place the flat under a grow light or in a sunny window. Both will work, but your seedlings will germinate more slowly and they might be more leggy with the window setup. Okay, now we get to wait for a few days. Stand by. As you can see, most of the seeds have germinated, so it's time to remove the clear lid. You'll also notice that I didn't do the best job of thickly planting the lettuce, which is in the flat on the left. But hey, I'm new at planting this many seeds in a flat. I'm keeping an eye on the sunflower seedlings and plan to harvest them before any true leaves develop. And I'm also watering them a little bit so that the soil stays lightly moist.
It's been about 9 days since I planted my seeds, and as you can see, things are going pretty well for my first time around. This is the lettuce flat, and these little seedlings are pretty small still. You can see I have some gaps in the planting here, which is either due to operator error or possibly poor germination. I'm not sure which, but hoping to improve on that the next time around. I am waiting for these guys to get some nice true leaves before I harvest them. So these are going to grow for quite a bit longer. Now in the sunflower flat, you can see these guys are doing just beautifully. You'll recall that the exception to the rule with sunflowers is that you want to harvest them before they develop true leaves. And I have a couple of plants that are thinking pretty seriously about it, so I really need to harvest them today. I'm going to cut them off at the soil surface, and because I'm worried that I may have splashed a little bit of soil up onto the plants, I'm going to wash them and then toss them gently in a salad spinner just to get the water off of them. And in a little bit I'm going to show you a recipe that I'm going to make with them. I'm really excited about that. The other thing I'm excited about is I got my seed order from Sprout People. This is a company I have not dealt with before, but I'd heard that they ship quickly and their prices are really good, and I would have to agree with that. So I have bought a pound of pea seeds, and I don't know if you knew this, but pea sprouts taste just like freshly shelled peas, and so they're absolutely delicious in salads. I'm very excited about that, and I should be able to get quite a bit of greenery on them. I also ordered some beet seeds because I want some beet sprouts. And I also got an interesting mix of seeds that is different members of the cabbage family, things like mizuna, cabbage, broccoli, and so on. I think those are going to be delicious. So let's take a look and see what we can make with some of these sunflower seedlings.
Here is my first microgreen harvest, and in just 9 days. How cool is that?
Okay, here's a simple little recipe that I thought of using my freshly washed sunflower microgreens. I started out with some spinach from my hoop house and just shredded up the leaves a little bit. Then I've got some of our beets that we grew this year that I roasted in the oven. So just some thin slices on top. Then I'm going to put on a lovely little dollop of sunflower microgreens. Sprinkle a little bit of feta cheese on the top. And then I'm going to make a light vinaigrette to put on the top. Looks yummy.
This is what my sunflower flat looks like now. You'll notice some of the seeds I originally planted are just starting to germinate, so I left them in there. But I'm going to replant the flat with more sunflower seeds. I've read that you don't need to replace the potting soil before replanting a flat, which is great. And besides, the leftover roots will decompose and feed the next batch of microgreens. Refer to my website's blog for details on the best types of seeds to plant for microgreens, online seed sources, more tips on growing them, and even my review of a great book on microgreens. I do hope you'll try your hand at growing microgreens. It's easy, fun, healthy, and you are quickly rewarded for your efforts. Happy indoor gardening!